How you discovered your own blockages, like striving for growth?
My pain, in hindsight, in doing this healing journey has been a huge driver for my success. That's when you're faced with the, oh, hang on, this feels really uncomfortable here. There's some resistance here.
How you turned your pain into purpose?
And we don't get it always right. Let's keep it real. Let's keep it real. We're not perfect.
What if building a multi-six-figure business didn't have to mean burnout? What if scaling your dream didn't require sacrificing motherhood, sanity, or joy? From corporate boardrooms to launching a SaaS platform used by thousands, from losing her mother as a teen to leading a global charity, Siobhan Mears has cracked the code to building empires without losing yourself. The number one mistake entrepreneurs make when scaling and how to fix it. How to silence guilt and redefine having it all as a mother and a CEO.
So I really think that social media can give a veneer of perfection because obviously we want to show the best. I still have that, I want to say masculine energy, but you know what I mean. I want to challenge myself. You know, I'm ambitious. I'm going to be the best at everything. If you feel trapped in your business, I would say take a step back, really have a bird's eye view on where the challenge is. You want to create a great client experience when people come to you because it's representing your brand, it's making them feel safe, and often helps them to recommend and retain those clients.
What 3 steps should someone take today if they feel trapped in their business?
Yeah, I think...
Siobhan, welcome to our podcast. If someone clicked on this video, why they should watch this video until the end?
The reason they should watch this video to the end is to understand the hacks and behind the scenes of a female entrepreneur who is juggling life, children, mindset, and all the other obstacles that come in your way, and how to really break through and be your full potential.
And wanted to ask you you started the business when you are on the maternity leave called the Mears Collective and scaled it into multi-six-figure business while having and raising 2 young kids. What was the pivotal moment? Can you share a bit of that background that you started your business?
Yeah, thank you so much. It's great to be here. The catalyst to me starting the business was being pregnant with my first child. I worked in corporate for many years in demanding roles where it was before COVID, so we didn't have that work-life balance that they talk about. So it was a case of no working from home, you had to be on call, you know, long days and travelling to and from the city, which was fine for a single person. But then I was having a baby and I thought that I would be able to return and all would be the same. But I realised quickly after having my child that I wanted something different. So the birth of my daughter really inspired me to go for it. Yeah, to go for it for various reasons. First of all, because I wanted to be a present mother. Obviously, I'm still very much focused on my business, but to care for my child, have her cared for in the home, to not send her off to nursery, you know, each to their own. That does this, there's no shame on that. But it wasn't what I wanted to be my journey. I wanted to be very present for my daughters, and I wanted more flexibility in my life. I wanted to be able to take a holiday when I wanted. I wanted to be able to expand my reach and impact. And I didn't know at that point what that would look like, but I did know that there was an entrepreneurial spirit inside of me that I had quietened for many, many years. And I think that came about from fear, financial fears, fear of losing that stability. You know, the corporate roles are very safe, or they can feel safe. You know, you've got that regular salary coming in and you know where you stand. So it was quite frightening to throw myself, it felt like, into the lion's den of entrepreneurship, quite unknown, but it also really excited me. So it lit a fire inside of me. I wanted to inspire my daughter. I wanted to show her what was possible. And I felt if I was afraid and following the rat race, then I wasn't really fulfilling my potential to show her in the future how to fulfill hers. I then went on to have my second child about 3.5 years later. And that was also a challenge as well, because I didn't have the maternity leave, didn't have that safety net. So that took another bout of courage to really push through and make this business not just work for me and my family, but also successful and impactful.
Thank you so much for sharing that. It's so inspiring. And I have a fair share of that fear when I first started
entrepreneurial journey. And I've heard a lot of my entrepreneur friends that they also have a lot of fear of failure and etc. So when you first started, how you managed to overcome this kind of fear?
Great question. So for me, the fear doesn't quite go away. You conquer different levels of fear, is what I found in my experience. And the entrepreneurial journey for me has been one of growth, not just from a business perspective, but from a personal development perspective. I feel that in the past almost 7 years in business, I'm almost unrecognisable. In many ways. I'm still the same Siobhan, but internally I've done so much work on myself, and I really truly believe that mindset work is fundamental to a successful business and a successful life. If you're not investing in your personal development, whether that's listening to the right podcasts, coaches, mentors, whether that's up-leveling your skills, but for me, really nurturing my mindset and understanding, I think it came from understanding where these fears were coming from. And without the self-development journey that I'd been on, I didn't quite understand it. You know, I just thought, this is how it is. This is the corporate world. This is what we do. These fears, I didn't delve deeper until that moment I started my business. Because when you have your own business, you are faced with many obstacles. And often you are faced with yourself. Ultimately, you're faced with yourself. And those challenges can be fear of visibility. Suddenly you have to be on social media with your photos, talking podcasts like this. Or not have to, but that's part of you growing your business. So I really had to dig deep and get to know myself and what these blockers were that were holding me back and to work my way through them.
Thank you so much. What kind of mindset was the strong foundation for your success?
Without a doubt, what comes to mind straight away is a growth mindset. That is a real core value of mine, is growth, and have a growth mindset in all areas. So not just to grow my business, but part of my business is to help other female founders grow their businesses. And with my platform, we help all entrepreneurs grow their business. But growth from a personal perspective as well, always wanting to strive to be the better version of yourself. And that's not to say that I don't feel enough or whole as myself. What that means is, I think with a growth mindset, you always want to evolve, you know, whether that's learning more so that you can help more people, whether that's unraveling some of those trauma stories or any blockers, subconscious blocks that are holding you back. So with a growth mindset, I'd say it's always being curious as to how you can improve yourself. And again, that's not with shame on our previous versions, because they got us to this point. But how can we improve ourselves to in turn have more impact with others?
Thank you so much. Every word is kind of gold, and I totally agree with those. And yeah, I totally agree that there are so many blockages on our way to succeed. But how you discovered your own blockages when you striving for growth, for example?
Yeah, I think because we've touched on growth mindset, because I want to challenge myself. You know, I'm ambitious. You know, I'd say high achieving in the sense that it'll be the best at everything, but I always want to strive to better, to challenge myself, to push myself to the edges, you know, to succeed in life. And I think in doing that, it highlights a certain blockers that will come up. You know, fear might come up. So I think it's in stretching ourselves out of our comfort zone or to the edges of our comfort zone, that's when you're faced with the, hang on, this feels really uncomfortable here. There's some resistance here. Let me unravel that. And I think a lot of that also came from going on my own personal healing journey as well. So looking into, you know, any past traumas that may be holding me back, looking at the inner child and some of those pieces as well, because there's usually narratives in our subconscious mind, old stories and patterns that are running behind the scenes that we really need to unlock if we're going to push through, because those are the invisible barriers that, you know, I've seen clients that are on the edge, on the cusp of really succeeding, or they have great success, but they're self-sabotaging in some way, or they're just not able to show up to their full potential, and they can't see why. They're doing all the strategy, they're ticking all the boxes, but there's something that it's intangible. So that's when you have to go a bit deeper and do some of the mindset work. And that's part of my journey. I've since studied to become a mindset coach as part of the work that I do. So not just strategy, also the subconscious, because I was, working on all the strategy, that's like the masculine energy, really going for it. But I realised from my own experience that there's more to it. And that's the mind is the almighty powerful part of us, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I realised that bringing that into my work for myself and for my clients, that's where the real magic happens.
Thank you so much. And sometimes we don't know what's really blocking us, and it takes some time. But did you have a therapist or a coach when you trying to overcome or discover the first couple of like blockages?
Yeah. So I think educating myself was first from doing the studies, but also listening to lots of podcasts, reading books. So that was on the base level, the introductory level. But then to dive deeper myself, I'm very curious of all, it's not aligned with my work, but I'm really interested in spirituality, energetics and all of that. So I've always worked with a coach or mentor. So I practice what I preach with my clients. So I believe in being challenged in a positive way, for somebody to look at my business and see the blind spots. So I always have a coach or mentor, mostly working with me, so that I can achieve my potential. But for the healing aspects, I tried all different modalities. So some different unique areas, such as, it's not that unique now, but breath work or craniosacral therapy. So different like somatic practices. Yeah, so educating myself from the mindset, from the training that I'm undertaking in the coaching, but then from a physical body perspective, trying alternative treatments.
Thank you so much. How you incorporate all these, your experience and learnings that you've done in the past to your own coaching?
I bring them all together now, which is fantastic. So I still have that, I want to say masculine energy, but you know what I mean. It's, the go-getter. I work with a lot of women that are high achievers. They want to go for it, unapologetic about growth, because often there's a bit of shame in that space of a woman that wants to go for it, So I'm all for empowering women in that space. So there's still definitely a place for the strategy that I bring, the strategic roadmaps, the action, the steps, the accountability. So I will always keep that, I think, in most areas of my work, because that's needed. People look for that from me, and it's what I do well. But I now incorporate the mindset work with my clients on either one-to-one. So if there's a blocker coming up and I can see there's resistance around, maybe they keep creating content and they're not posting it. They know that they should be doing this thing, or they're afraid to go and speak on stage, but they have a deep desire to, then that's when I'll bring in some of my mindset coaching. But I have created a program which is running amazingly well, which is called Strategy and Subconscious. And so it does what it says. And we're really working on the actions, I've got experience in launching businesses, launching offers and all of that. So I bring that expertise. So we have one module on that, and then we also have a module on the mindset and the subconscious, the neurological areas around that. So I'm really bringing it more and more into my work now, and it feels really good because I know it helped me, and that's it. I think what we learn from our own experience, it felt like I would be doing my clients a disservice if I just continued with the strategic side, because I know that there's more, So I love to be able to show my clients what's helped me, how it can help them too.
Thank you so much. And I have interviewed so many people so far, and they all had mentor or coach on their journey. And I started to grow even faster when I start to have coach or therapist. I think it's very, very valuable. Do you think that there is a difference in mental load in female and male entrepreneurs?
Yes, I definitely do. And I love men, I'm married to one, but I will say that there is a big difference, particularly, but not only for mothers. And that is often called the mother load, whereby if I'm leaving the house, I need to think about my daughter's going to Irish dancing later. Although my husband is a lot more responsive now, I've guided him to sharing that load. But previously, and quite often with people I speak to, they're often thinking about, okay, I need to get a birthday present for the party next week. I need to remember there's a school book club after, I need to make sure that we've cleaned the house. We've got this person, there's all the other activities that are often, not always, assumed to be the woman's role. Okay, so they'll just do that or just take it on because it's the nurture in us. It's not always that it's just being left to us, it's the nurturer. And that can also look like looking after elderly parents. It can show up in different ways, but often the female will take on that role, and sometimes it's a sense of control as well. But it's a case of taking on so much that they've got that layer of mental capacity taken up before they even start working. But I do think women handle that type of stress very well. I do think that, we can juggle many plates. It's just the way it goes. But I think more awareness needs to be shone on that, really, because there's not quite the balance there.
Okay. So yeah, it's very interesting because you wear so many hats, right? Like hats of being a mom, hats of being CEO, being a coach and decision maker, like how that kind of energy balance, like how you show up in different like role.
Yeah, really good point. I mean, we don't get it always right. Let's keep it real. Let's keep it real. We're not perfect. So I really think that social media can give a veneer of perfection because obviously we want to show the best. But I think it's important to also keep it real. But I do love the variety. For me, I thrive on that. I don't know if I'm strange in that way, but I thrive on goes back to that growth mindset for me, of being stretched, of being in different arenas. I love that. I love being with my children, but I personally, and this is with love and kindness, I wouldn't want that all of the day. It wouldn't fulfill me as a human being as well. And I think sometimes there's a bit of shame around that for mothers, but I think it's okay to also want to have a career and to have success in a business because we have gifts that we want to share with the world as well. So there's that. And then when I'm in the coaching role, I'm fully dedicated to my clients. So when I go on that call or when I'm with them one-to-one, that's their time. So I am of service in that moment. When I'm with my team, I take the leadership seat. And that comes quite naturally to me. I know that some of my clients feel challenged by that, but that comes quite naturally to me. That's why I love teaching others how to manage teams and do it efficiently. And then I'm also on the board of directors for a startup organisation and a charity as well. So I'm very, very busy. I probably overspread myself sometimes. So I do need to, there are times on a Friday evening, you will find me in pyjamas on the sofa, not up for much, So there are times that I need to retreat and conserve my energy. And sometimes I will do that by going on a retreat. For a few days, looking after my own energy and my well-being, because I realise, having been burnt out in the past, I'm no good to anyone then. If you're exhausted, you have to fill up your own cup, but we often put ourselves last.
Yeah. I feel like so many of my interviewers, like guests, they went through some burnout because they're all very ambitious and they didn't realize at the beginning that they're slowly burning out. Like, when was the pivotal moment for you to escape from that kind of state?
Yeah. So I think I've been in that state in some way or another multiple times, if I'm honest, because I will stretch myself to the edges of what's possible. Because, if I know that there's a deadline, I want to get something done, I will go hell for leather to get it done because I'm a real action taker. And that's not always to say it's a great thing. I think to know when to rest doesn't always come naturally to me. That's something that I need to work on. It's something that I do as an afterthought. However, I have changed that now. So I take active steps to be able to create space for that. So I didn't always do that, but I will make sure that I have an evening where I'm just relaxing, whether that's catching up on a book or watching a show. I'll take some space for myself away from being on call on my phone, just like move away from that, or whether that's different steps of self-care, I think is so important. But ultimately, how do I create the space really is by having a team and realising that I operate best when I'm in my own zone of genius. If I'm down in the weeds doing all the things, I am of very little service to anyone, especially myself. So having a team, obviously, if anyone knows my business, it's all about working smarter. So systems, processes, automations. I'm all about finding ways to make life easier. And finding ways to let it be easy. I don't feel that we have to always make business hard and complicated, which I think the earlier version of myself and my business thought that I had to hustle and grind, which you do to a certain extent. When you first start a business, you're not going to be sipping a green juice and barley. Like, you need to put some work in. But I think I felt that you had to be on call for your clients. You had to do all the things. And I think that was almost like a hangover from the corporate world, where you're go, 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 go. So I had to re-educate myself that it doesn't need to be that way. It's okay to have boundaries. It's okay to delegate.
Yeah, and I noticed that there are some of my early stage entrepreneur friends. They are a bit afraid of like delegate. So they feel like probably they would just spend money on the team and then they wouldn't get it back. So they have a fear of that kind of financial fear. Like, what's your strategy to help them to overcome this kind of fear and have the courage to hire?
Yeah, I think that fear is very real, and I think it's okay to have that fear, and it makes sense, right? So I would say starting small. Yeah, starting small and using a freelancer. You don't need to have an employee. Unless, it depends on your business model, of course. But you definitely nowadays do not need to hire an employee and have that burden straight away when you're in a startup phase. I would say taking in freelancers, maybe on an hourly rate or a package, that you can just do it bite-size with a view to increasing as your revenue increases. But really, it's, again, working on the mindset. So it's a case of really moving away from that lack mindset, because the lack mindset is that if I give up this money, then nothing is coming back to me. So it's a case of trusting that if I hire a virtual assistant, for example, to do some admin task for me, it doesn't mean that I then go and sit on my sofa and do nothing. How can I use that hour or two that I would be spending on this person to do something productive? Could I get more sales? Could I record a podcast? Could I, what activities could do that would be high return on investment? And then it's also a case of thinking and I don't like to work in hourly rates, but what is your time worth? Yeah, so what would it take for you to work with a client for that 1 to 2 hours? Could you get a client in that time? So it's actually weighing up your time. Where is the best use of your time? And if it's not in doing it yourself, then I say delegate. But that's where processes come in. If you have a clear outline of the task, because that's a big fear for people, is learning to let go and thinking somebody's going to mess it up.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. And I think it's very, very helpful. And I think when I first started, I didn't hire anyone. I did the editing or everything myself. And then I've been learning from people like you as well. So they all have like great team. So I started hiring, and actually the quality of the editing is much better, and I can spend my time on something more meaningful, which can bring success on my journey.
I love that. And also, it's empowering others that are often better than us at the job they're doing. If it's editing, if somebody's doing graphics for me, I know that they're going to be much better at it than me spending 5 hours trying to do it. So people have their natural gifts and talents. And if you're focused in your zone of genius and you're operating there, then that's where the magic happens. You can have success, more impact, more income. Whereas if you're down in the weeds doing something that is not your best quality, then, it's going to hinder your success.
Yeah, thank you so much. As a mindset coach, what's the most common limiting belief you see in stuck entrepreneurs, and how do you rewire it?
Okay, there's quite a few. I think one that's come up recently, and we just covered it yesterday in my strategy and subconscious program, was money mindset. Yeah, so that's a big one that comes up time and time again, just about what we just touched on there, delegating. So that might seem that it's just about the delegating, but in fact it's a money mindset issue, because it comes from lack of believing that it won't be replaced. There's so many ways to challenge that, but I think it's really important for us to have awareness of where it comes from. What's the story? What's our childhood story around that? What was the narrative that we saw at play when it came to money? Where does it come from? And often you'll see that same story and narrative playing out in your current reality now. So it's a case of really understanding it, getting to the root of it, and reframing it. Creating new neural pathways, a new story. So, the mind will always look for, if you're having a bad time, if you've lost clients and the bills are mounting up, automatically people, I've seen clients that go into the lack. It's like batten down the hatches. All right, we're going to reduce expenses. We can't afford that. It's real fear, which is a natural state because it's protective mode. But actually, that restricts them from opportunities. They're closed off energetically from anything. And the mind will naturally look for evidence that that's true. Wow, that's really expensive. Oh, on the news, nobody's buying now, interest rates. You will start to feed that narrative. So instead, it's about reframing that. And you can do that through visualization, through affirmations. There's lots of other modalities. EFT tapping, even hypnotherapy. There's so many modalities you can use to really start to reframe and look for a new narrative, where your mind can start to see, success is possible for me. You know, if you walk down, I was saying to my clients yesterday, if you're walking down the street in Mayfair, just take a walk around there for a short while. You'll see money everywhere, you know? So it's about reframing and showing your mind what's possible for you as opposed to the historical narrative.
Thank you so much. So if they see like something very expensive, but if they know that's helpful for them to grow, so rather than thinking about it's a wasting of money, but that's an investment for a growth, right?
That comes down to, and the people that get amazing success working with me are those with growth mindset, because a growth mindset knows that it's an investment in my growth. It's almost like watering the plant. Yeah, you're watering the plant, you're feeding the plant, it's going to grow. Whereas if you're like, oh, we can't have that, no, we'll hold off on that, it's too expensive, then you're not really seeing beyond the money. You're not going forward to see the actual value and the transformation behind that.
Thank you so much. You built Elevate Base to streamline businesses. What's the first system you automate for clients for free up 10 plus hours a week?
Yeah, so that's a second business that I launched recently, which is Elevate Base. It's an all-in-one tech platform to streamline operations for clients and also help them launch digital offers. And so what is the one? So the first step, it depends what they want to work with us on. Some people want to streamline their operations, so that's set up their sales pipeline, client onboarding, and then some people will use the platform to create a membership space or a community, a paid membership or an online digital course. So it's got great functionality. But the first step I'd say to save 10 hours is often a quick win is a client onboarding. Yeah. So you want to create a great client experience when people come to you because it's representing your brand, it's making them feel safe, and often helps them to recommend and retain those clients. And what we do with that is the team will look at the journey. So we map out the workflow. How does this client find you? Do they book a call? Then we set up a call scheduler. Do you want to make sure that they have a pre-call questionnaire? What questions would be helpful for you to ask? Okay, we'll add that in, and that's automated. So they click the link, then they get the questionnaire, and so on and so forth. Then it goes down to their contracts, automated. So there's no more going into a PDF, manually editing, and then sending that out, and okay, then we'll go to Calendly, and then we'll go to another platform. It's all in one place, automated and smooth journey, even encouraging clients at certain points to ask for testimonials or recommendations and so on. So it's really taking that mental load off their plate, because effectively, obviously the call will take place often. It depends what they're buying. If they're buying a digital product, it can be fully automated. But it effectively means that our clients can be here recording a podcast. Somebody could be booking in now. You know, and it's they're receiving the form. I'm not having to scramble around and think what's happening. And also it really means that the balls aren't dropping.
Thank you so much. And you are a trustee for Empower, supporting girls who've lost mothers. And I know that you lost your mother, like
long time ago. Yeah, I was a teenager. Yeah.
How did you transmute heavy emotions like grief into something, like into your purpose? So how you turned your pain into purpose?
Great question. Okay, so I would say my pain, in hindsight and doing this healing journey, has been a huge driver for my success. And I think you'll find that, or I've heard with a lot of entrepreneurs, they might have gone through some trauma, and it really, probably in an unhealthy way to start with, it is that survival mode. I'm going to achieve this, I'm going to prove myself, I'm going to do well in life. You know, when you're overcoming an adversity, that could send you one way or the other. Particularly as a teenager, I was then catapulted into adulthood then, really, and living independently with no support. So the determination, that hunger to succeed and to also to create impact. So for me, that wasn't enough in the sense of making money, getting clients and so on. I knew that I wanted to give back, because I remembered, and particularly doing the healing work, going back to that inner child, remembering that version of you that went through that pain. And I'm a firm believer in playing it forward. You know, if we do well on our journey, it's not only inspiring my daughters, but what about those girls that have been in this situation where they feel like their world has ended? They're young, they don't have that mother figure, and that really impacted me. It was a very, very, very difficult time for me during my late teens, I'd say through most of my 20s. It was really, really challenging time. There was obviously some highs, but it was a very difficult time. I didn't have a female role model, so I knew that I was one of the lucky ones to make a success of my life, be married, 2 children, you know, what looks like success to other people as well. But really, I knew that there was others that wouldn't have that story. You know, maybe they haven't come through okay in the end. So I want to be able to help them. So it's a real drive. I'd say, in answer to your question, the pain was a driver for success. That in turn enabled me to give back and create purpose from that pain.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for doing all of these. That's such a great energy that you are giving to these girls. I'm so happy that they have people like you that they can rely on or they can inspired by. So quick win. Give us your 60-second unstuck framework, and what 3 steps should someone take today if they feel trapped in their business?
Okay, if you feel trapped in your business, right, let's think. If you feel trapped in your business, I would say take a step back, really have a bird's eye view on where the challenge is. Where are you feeling stuck? Where does it feel in your body? Where's that resistance? Okay. Is it sales? Is it marketing? So you want to take a step back and really understand, first and foremost, have clarity on the problem. Because often when somebody's stuck, they're overwhelmed, they don't know whether they're coming or going. So you need to pause, step back, review the process. And then I would say, really get clear on what you're looking to achieve. So real clarity on your goal. What do you want to achieve? And tangible. Yeah. So some people say, oh, I just want to be successful. What does that mean? What does that mean to you? Do you need to get 2 more clients this month? What exactly does it mean? So you get super clear. And then the third thing I would say, it's hard to choose really. So I'd say get clear on your goal. Number 2, we get clear on your goal and work the steps towards it. So that's 2 and 3 really. But I think we have to go with a mindset. Mindset is fundamental as well. So I think really do some journaling on what you believe is holding you back. Yeah, as soon as you get out of bed in the morning, start writing. Immediately, before you look at your phone, social media, anything, start writing and let the free flow of what exactly is coming up for you. You're doing that throughout that challenging period, you will start to unravel exactly what it is that's holding you back. And it's often not at the things that are front of mind. There's usually something deeper. For example, if the challenge was for somebody they were really afraid they weren't getting enough sales or whatever, then maybe the second problem will be that they need to target their social media and make it more clear, that speak to their ideal client. But then when they unravel that, there could be something in the mindset of self-worth. I don't feel that I'm worthy. These clients won't pay that. You know, they won't pay for me, or I'm worried if I'm going to be judged if I go online. So really, there's often something at the bottom of it that's sabotaging the first 2 points.
I'm a true fan of Marissa Peer, and she is famous with "I am enough," right? I put "I am enough" that word on my screen and or wherever I see often. So why people feel like they are not enough? They are comparing themselves more often, or what's the reason and how they can overcome it?
I mean, there's so many layers to that, but I think you've hit the nail on the head there. Often, it's looking for things outside of us. It's believing that success lives outside of us, and it's not trusting ourselves. So the self-trust that we do have a lot of answers within us. By all means, it's great to work with experts that will help you bring those answers out and challenge you and hold the mirror up and support you and hold your hand. So there's always space for experts, but ultimately the answers do lie within us. So it's a case of looking at others. Comparisonitis with social media is rife. You know, I have spoken with many clients that think everybody else has got it figured out. They're spending too much time looking in everyone else's shop windows instead of tending to their own. Yeah, so I would say doing the inner work. Look inside at what is coming up for you. You know, journal on it, really meditate on it, do affirmations or seek out some other modalities that I did to really understand what exactly is coming up for me. There's some story there that we're feeling. It could be from childhood. There could be many things, but we're looking for that affirmation. Like I told you, when we start seeking the proof that that's true. Oh yeah, look, I'm definitely not enough. She's got that many followers. She looks amazing every day. And so you're okay. Yeah, that's true. You're seeking out proof that it isn't. So I'd say really doing inner work and looking inwardly and really reflecting on our wins, not always being so hard on ourselves.
Thank you so much. And there is a bonus question. What's the one daily habit you swear by to stay at present as a mom and a CEO?
Okay, I'd say meditation. And the days that I do meditation in the morning, even if it's 5-10 minutes, just to center my mind before I go onto my phone, and then there's emails, and then there's a WhatsApp from a team member, and this and that, and it's a flurry. And then my children are maybe, like this morning, refusing to put on her clothes. She wants to wear a fairy fancy dress outfit, and there's wings on it and everything. So to get myself calm and centered, to show up as the best version of myself, it's to have that moment and center my thoughts before I go into fight or flight, and before the day is run by others, as opposed to me being calm and centered in how I respond.
Thank you so much. And I'm a true believer of energy, and I think everything is energy, and I think you have a great energy.
Yeah.
Can you share your secret, being like that kind of energetic, like you have beautiful energy? Can you tell us the secret?
Thank you so much. I have had that said to me quite a few times, and I guess I'm oblivious to it. You don't realise yourself energy. I think, if I'm honest, it comes from within. And by that, I mean, I think it's having a good heart. Ultimately, on a fundamental level, you want the best for people. Yeah. And I think that shines through, you know, and I think like attracts like sees like, you know, and I think I always feel magnetized by other people who ultimately you can just feel that they've got a good spirit. Yeah, and I think you just feel safe with them. But then also, I suppose I do like to have fun as well, and that vibrancy can come out as well. But I'd say having a good heart.
Thank you so much. And I've learned a lot personally during our conversation. And thank you so much for sharing your wisdom, sharing your inspiring story, and also your beautiful energy with us. And to the audience, and thank you so much for being here and sharing your energy to the space. So if I can ask you one thing, can you share what you've learned from either from this video or from a book you are reading, or what kind of challenges you overcame recently? Let's share our energy and inspire each other and manifest our dream in the quickest way possible. Thank you so much, and see you next time. Bye for now.
Bye. Love that.